Recorded. What is up, everybody, and welcome to day one of the not Build a Mastermind, but Get Your First Mastermind Client Challenge, which is brought to you by Brad Hart and Build a Mastermind, who's now preening himself because he didn't recognize himself in this mirror here. I'll be your host for these next 5 days, and I'm really, really grateful and excited to share. I'll share a little bit more about myself and my story, but first, let's welcome everybody. We've got Alex from Reading. What's up, Alex? Thanks for joining us. Anil from Ottawa. We've got Dina coming in from Cape Town, South Africa. It must be late there. Thanks for staying up late. We have Angel from sunny sunny Florida. Barry there from Ireland. What's up, Barry? Lisa coming in from the UK. Got Micah here in San Diego. Got Blake. What's up, Blake? In Lake Chelan in Eastern Washington. Beautiful. You can do either one. Join VIP. If you signed up for a VIP, you can go ahead and join. If you guys want to sign up for a VIP and you haven't yet, I'll be posting a link up here in a minute. That means you get to be on the live calls with me. That means you get to ask questions at the end. We'll do a Q&A just for you guys each day. That means you'll get the recordings and also our 21-day challenge included. And that's all $97. So I think it's really worth it. Bilal, what's up, man? Good to see you on here. Sue coming in from Sonoma County. You got people all over the world here. This is really beautiful. Bilal's coming in from Saudi Arabia. Yeah, that's everybody who chatted to me where they're at. That's people just live here on Zoom with me. I'll see the ones in the comments afterwards. So let me know where you're coming from on the Facebook Live as well, and we'll get into this in just a second. I'm really grateful that you're all here. And let's just do a little tech check, and we'll get underway with day one because everybody is raring and ready to go. So let's do that now. Okay. Share my screen. Micah, can you now see my screen? Okay, wonderful. Let's get this presenting. And we are here on the Get Your First Mastermind Client Challenge. Who's excited to get their first mastermind client? Give me a 1 in the chat. If you are stoked and excited, give me a 1, 1, 1, 1, 11, 11. We're not getting started at 11, 11, but that's one of my favorite numbers. So I'm just so freaking excited to share with you guys. And I'll be, again, going into a lot of different topics here. I shared with you the syllabus. If you don't have the challenge workbook yet, make sure you grab that. It's at marbles.link/workbook. And again, if you want to sign up VIP, it's just marbles.link/VIP. It's not too late to join. We will shut it down at some point during the challenge. But for now, you're more than welcome to join us if you want to be live on the Zoom with us and then do the Q&A afterwards. So let's get right into it. This is the Build a Mastermind. I keep saying that. This is the Get Your First Mastermind Client Challenge brought to you by Build a Mastermind and Make More Marbles and myself, Brad Hart. So let's get right into it, shall we? So day one is all about what masterminds are and how they can help you to add $100,000 to your income or more in under 5 hours a week. And that might seem like a bold promise. And some of you are here for impact reasons, and some of you are here for income reasons. Some of you just don't want to work so dang hard, but you want to really have a lot of fun and grow a business that allows you to do that and work with people. And you're not always under the gun to produce a lot. You don't have to be the expert. You don't have to have a lot of inventory or overhead or risk in your business. And masterminds are, in my opinion, of all the things I've tried, and I've tried a lot of things, the very best way to do that. And we're going to teach you exactly how to get one rolling. Again, we can't teach you every single thing under the sun, all I've learned in 10 plus years, but we can give you a really solid ground level head start over everybody else who's trying to do this now. Masterminds have exploded in popularity over the last few years, but they're not new, right? They're something that have been around for over 100 years. And you're about to embark on a journey towards building your own mastermind that's going to help you master any skill and get paid while you learn. It's going to help you solve any problem in your life and business and those of others. You're going to bless yourself. You're going to bless others. You're going to be able to travel for free or work from anywhere in the world virtually, which is really exciting. You're going to be able to add $100,000 or more to your business or start a whole new business and reach that number. And you're going to be able to do all this in 5 to 10 hours a month. And this is not hyperbole. This is not me making this up. Like, I literally have almost 100 clients right now working with me in my mastermind. And we have about 5 hours a week of delivery, give or take. It's a little bit more sometimes, a little bit less sometimes. But when you add it all up, you could get it down to a really considerate amount of work. And that's including, random questions I get. That's including making introductions. That's including taking my clients out to lunch when I see them in the city they live in. I just came back from Scottsdale. I took one of my clients, Brian, out to lunch and then went and introduced him to one of my mentors. It was a really fun time. So this gives you flexibility to add a lot of value and make a huge impact on people's lives without taking up all your time. And that's what we all got into business for. If you're like me, you didn't get into business to have 7 jobs, but that's where most people end up. They're the marketer, they're the the back end guy, they're customer service, they're building the funnels, they're writing the copy, they're doing the sales calls, and all these different things that, if you're a coach, consultant, author, speaker, expert, are part of the job. And it helps to know what they are and be able to train on them, but you don't have to be the best at each one of those. And you certainly don't have to do them long term. You need to get it to a point where you have a really solid process in place and it fits you and your values and the way you want to run your business. And you want to train other people to do that. So we won't get too much into that right now, but I just want you to understand that masterminds are a key component to creating the times that you can create the business and become an owner, not an operator. So you're in the right place. If you're hearing my voice, if you're seeing me on this screen, if you're seeing the slides in front of you, you are in the right place right now. And I just want to make sure that you are 100% prepared to take in everything that we're going to be giving you this week, because we're opening the kimono. We're giving you everything we possibly can within the structure of this challenge. It's going to be about an hour a day. If you're on the VIP and if you stay for the Q&A, it's going to be about 90 minutes a day. And I'll go as long as I need to, but it'll pretty much, run about an hour a day of content and then 30 minutes of Q&A, but I'm keeping it flexible. So if you want to block out 2 hours just to be really safe, that's fine, but 90 should be plenty. And I'll keep these really tight and to the point, guys. I don't really have more than 10 or 15 slides per day. And some of the longer days are towards the end. I'll be giving you more and more as we go on. And today I just want to keep it light. I want to get the ground rules in place. I want to make sure everybody's supported and has what they need. There's no technical challenges or issues. If you ever have a challenge or an issue and you need us, just reach out to support@makemoremarbles.com. That's support@makemoremarbles.com. And we'll be happy to help you. Please write down your questions and make sure you're present, right? Make sure you're here. Take notes, play full out, make sure you're ready to go. And if I haven't answered your question by the end of a session about the content that we've covered today, then I'd be happy to answer it then. If it's something that we're going to hey, skip ahead to day 3 or day 4, day 5, I'll just tell you what day we're going to cover it. And then you can hit me up with questions after that, because I don't want to have to, jump around a whole bunch. And really, this is meant to be consumed linearly, and you're meant to take action on each thing each day, which is why we're keeping the content short, so that you have time to go out and take these actions, which will get you to your first mastermind client in 5 days. Really exciting. All right. Finally, we'll be meeting at 11 every single day. I talked about that. And be sure to post in the group your wins, your celebrations, your homework, your questions, whatever you got going on. Please do that. And I will do my very best with the time I have allotted to get to you. Obviously, if you're not a VIP yet, you can still upgrade. Just go to marbles.link/VIP. And I'm committed to getting all the VIP questions answered as quickly as possible on these Q&As. And that's really the best way to go, is just let's have a conversation. Let's make sure you're clear and you know what you need to do for that day. And we're moving forward together. So any questions on logistics, please just hit us up in the chat. Send a note to support@makemoremarbles, or just put a comment on the actual live video, and we'll be watching out for those and answering those as quickly as we can. All right, everybody, let's keep moving on. So, it's not too late, by the way. You're just starting. If you have a friend that you'd like to be an accountability buddy, I highly recommend that, because going through a challenge by yourself can be, for lack of a better word, a little challenging, right? You don't have anybody to cheer you on. Maybe you need somebody from the group. If you don't have a friend in mind that wants to learn to get a mastermind client in the next 5 days, feel free to put up a post and be like, hey, I'm looking for an accountability buddy in the Facebook group, and we'll do our best to match you guys together, and we'll do our best to make sure that you have somebody who you can work with. And just keep each other accountable to showing up, doing the work, taking the notes, asking the questions, and getting what you need so that you can move forward with us in this challenge. And I'd be really grateful if everybody could just pair up with somebody who can keep them accountable. It could be a spouse, it could be a partner, it could be somebody who's not necessarily interested, but they're willing to do it for you because they love you and they want you to succeed. Because if you take this challenge and do nothing with it, I will be a very sad boy indeed. We work very hard on it, and I really want you to go out and take action and get the results that are promised you. It's not enough just to sign up. You got to take the action and get the results. All right. So what is a mastermind? And in my opinion, I've seen so many different things that call themselves masterminds, and there's so many different things under the umbrella of masterminds that are technically true that they're masterminds, but they may not be the traditional thing. And what I think is so powerful about masterminds. So in my definition, my humble opinion and definition, it's a group of 8 to 10 people who are working together to solve a problem using a specific methodology. And it can be as many as 100 or 1,000, depending on the different structures, tiers, the way you do it. Like I was part of a mastermind that had 100 people in the main group, and that was manageable, and everybody met up 4 times a year. And then there was local chapters. So many hundreds of people in local chapters with local leaders that mastermind in a similar format. And then there were members who got all the content from those masterminds, but they weren't going to any of the meetings. So there's different ways you can structure this. And this doesn't have to be limited in impact and scope just because, you can only talk to so many people at a time. there's so many tools and technologies and structures you can use now with the internet that you can make this happen with thousands and thousands of people around the world. And it doesn't have to limit the size of your impact or your reach or your business. A mastermind is not a meeting. There's no hierarchy. And it's not really like a one-time thing. Like you really want to do them consistently. You can do it as a one-off and they're great as like an intensive experience. But the real power, I think, is in the momentum and the consistency of keeping people accountable, of giving them support, of building that trusted community, of getting that leverage on themselves consistently to know like, oh crap, I got to come back to this mastermind and report. What did I actually do? What should I be held accountable to? What did I declare that I was going to do on the last meeting? And there's no hierarchy ultimately. It's everybody working with everybody else to make sure that no man gets left behind or no woman gets left behind in this journey. So it's really coming together for the common good and highest outcome and achievement of every member. And again, this is all very basic stuff. We're going to get more advanced as we go through, but I just want to lay the ground rules because I got to assume that, there's people are coming in having never heard of this before and they're just a little interested and they want to learn from the scratch. And there's people who have been doing this for, 50 years. They know more, maybe more than I do. I don't know. It's just, I got to make sure I hit it all. So if this is review, thank you for bearing with me. And if this is not review, then we'll just keep cranking through and getting it to you. So why are masterminds so hot right now? Well, I believe that they're the greatest opportunity in the self-education movement. And this is a $355 million a day industry. And it's $129 billion a year. This is a massive amount of money being spent. And in the next 5 years, it's going to triple. It's going to be about $1 billion a day or $365 billion a year in a few years. This is actually a little bit of an old statistic. This might be for about a year ago. I didn't have a newer statistic. So, a little bit of growth, a little bit of COVID. I think more people are going online now. So it actually might have grown since then, but it's definitely on the way to being $1 billion industry in the next 5 years, if it hasn't already crested that number. The last number I heard from an unreliable source was about 500 million a day, but I didn't want to post that here. I want to be conservative. So, that's including courses, that's including books, that's including, events and masterminds are a part of that. And they're a growing part of that. So there's plenty of people out there willing to spend plenty of money on different experiences, and masterminds are definitely a part of it. And what we know is that the traditional education system, which is over 200 years old at this point, has failed. And that's where you come in. It's no longer about accreditation. It's no longer about teachers teaching things that they don't understand or don't know. It's no longer about, tenure and all the things that come along with that. It's about people who have results in their lives, helping and teaching people who do not have those results but want them. And you can be the facilitator of that, whether or not you possess that information or not. That's the most important key point here is you don't have to be the guru. You don't have to be the expert in order to run a mastermind. In fact, it's actually better when you're not, because not only do you learn more and get paid for it, but other people tend to learn better from other people, right? They tend to get different perspectives from different folks. People present in different ways. And there's incredible opportunities for you not to be the center of attention, actually help people more, including yourself. So don't get stuck on what do I know, or am I, I feel like an imposter, or I don't know anything, or why would anybody want to learn from me? Because it's just not important. It's, you don't need to be the center of attention. You don't need to be the fountain from which everything flows. It's just not necessary. So that's where you come in, and let's get it rocking. So this is really the piece, right, that I think, visually represents what it takes to get this going. So having the knowledge, capabilities, and the roadmap, which we're going to give you and provide you, filling in with experts, taking action and implementing, making an impact and making a profit from doing so, and finally achieving the success, which is just achieving of your goals, right? And really this entire presentation is meant to help you avoid the common things that make people fail, and success will be inevitable. If you can remove all the things that are going to trip you up, you're going to get the most out of this. So let's rock and roll and get into it. First with my story, just so we can kind of ground and understand where I'm coming from and why I'm here teaching you today is, I'm the mastermind guy. I've been a part of 30 of these over the last 10 years. I've started a dozen of my own now, and it's led me to becoming a business owner, entrepreneur of some note, 7-figure companies, 3 of them in different industries. I did one in finance, one in marketing for Amazon, and now one in the info marketing space. Like, make more marbles, build a mastermind is kind of my longest running yet biggest labor of love, I think. It definitely wasn't for the money when I started out. It was all about impact. And my goal was to reach 1 million people. And I didn't know how long that would take. I didn't know what that would even entail. But I did it in 3 years. We reached 1 million people. 1 million people had seen our stuff in 3 years with Tony and Dean's help. And we're a top affiliate for Tony and Dean with the mastermind.com brand. we reached 1 million people in 6 weeks. And that was really brilliant. And then this year we were top affiliate for them again. Number 8 out of 5,000 affiliates. We reached 1 million people in 72 hours. So what used to take 3 years now takes 72 hours. And we reached 2.5 million over that. And I just looked at the stats this year. On Facebook ads alone, we've reached over 7.5 million people in 2020. And that's just what we can track from impressions and page views and things like that, including the people that go deeper and read and work with us and buy our books and things like that. So it's been a really incredible journey. And it just comes down to getting a little bit better every single day. And masterminds have been the number one way that I've been able to get a little bit better every single day. And those little compounding gains add up. I always tell people 1% a day is doable. And over time, it compounds a lot. You see in an exponential curve, it kind of goes like that for a while and then all of a sudden shoots up like a hockey stick. It's really powerful. And, I've only been at this for 10 years. So see where you could be in 10 years. People way overestimate what they can get done in a month or a year, but they way underestimate what they can get done in a decade. So remember, you're on the path, stay on the path. Wherever you're at is great. And just focus on getting a little bit better every single day. And you'll be where you want to be in no time. So I just want to share some more of my personal background and story. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was actually very, very difficult childhood. My dad was injured when I was 2 years old. He was a lumber truck driver. And one day he was coming down a hill and the load shifted and pinned him to the steering wheel and rendered him unable to walk for about 6 months. He was crawling around a mechanic's creeper and just unable to work again. So he went out of work on Social Security and disability benefits. And mom, who had been working since she was a little kid, helping raise 6 brothers and sisters and take care of her parents. And then my grandfather died when I was very young, her father. She had to go and provide for us. And she had to leave to go to the city to get work. So that's about 2 hours away from where I grew up on Long Island in New York City. So here I am. I have a crippled, disabled, alcoholic father. I'm a little kid and we don't have any money really to speak of, just enough to, keep food in the fridge and not really that much at that. And mom would send whatever she could and she was getting her feet under her and making that happen. But I didn't stay there, right? It's not where you start out. It's where you end up. It's not where you start up. It's where you end up. So I'll just share a couple of those things that happened. As I went to school, I got a degree in biology. I wanted to be a doctor, Dr. Hart, the cardiologist, because I mentioned I lost my grandfather as a young kid. And I thought, well, if I was a cardiologist, I could have saved him. So that was the reason for that. But I quickly realized after school that I didn't want to be a doctor anymore. And I didn't get into the schools I wanted right away. So I took a year off and I was coming out in 2007. And if you remember 2007, 2008, it was when the financial collapse was happening. And I was bartending. That was the best job I could get, the most money I could make. And it just didn't really pay the bills after that. I was very quickly draining my savings and having a lot of difficulty. And I'd always been entrepreneurial. So I decided to, take a look at what could be going on with that. How could I start a business? How could I invest? How could I make money work for me instead of working for money? I'd read books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I had seen how my grandfather, when I was 16, we had to put him into a nursing home, and that required shielding his assets because, nursing homes are very expensive and he would have run out of money pretty quickly. But what I didn't realize about my grandfather, and he never really made a big deal out of this, was that he was independently wealthy. And it wasn't because of anything he did. And he worked throughout his whole life. But the reason he was so wealthy is because his uncle had invested in Standard Oil and Bell Telephone back in like the 20s or 30s and given him those stocks. And they had split and grown over many years into all the oil and gas companies, all of the telephone companies. And he had, enough money and dividends to just live his lifestyle. His house was paid off and he just, never had to work. And I saw how valuable that was. I saw the power of compounding and setting those seeds early on. And I've shared a little bit about that. But the point of that is, at that time in my life, I didn't really know what to do. I couldn't make money as a bartender anymore. I couldn't make money with my degree. I shotgunned my resume out to 200 different firms and I didn't really get any responses. In fact, one guy said, yeah, if you go back and get your PhD, we can pay you $35,000 a year. I'm like, hang on, you want me to go to 8 more years of school and write a book just so you could pay me 35 grand? I was making more as a bartender. No, thank you. So, I'm sure you've experienced this in your life, but traditional education has failed. It's just not what it used to be, if it ever was. Our generation, we got to do something different. And the kids that come past this, I don't think there'll be traditional schooling the way it's been always. Very rote memorization. I think it's going to be more mastermind groups. I think it's going to be more, tactical, on point, like, as needed information to solve a specific problem, and hopefully more financial and masterminding and entrepreneurial and investing education. So anyway, this time in my life, I couldn't make it as a bartender anymore. I decided to go into Wall Street because when I heard that Warren Buffett quote, when everybody's running in the room, make sure you're running out of the room. And when everybody's running out of the room, make sure you're running in the room. And that was when I ended up in New York City going into my first Wall Street job at E1 Asset Management on 44 Wall Street on the ninth floor. And I would go into a little brick room with no windows, and I would call all day long, 500 calls before lunch, 500 calls after lunch, and then in the night, I wasn't too excited about this job, but it was kind of a start. I wanted to hedge my bets, so I went and got my real estate license. And real estate's where I really took off. I got recruited by this firm called Bond New York in New York, where they were, I think, the largest or the eighth largest real estate firm. There's Corcoran, there's Prudential, Douglas Elliman, and New York real estate's like cutthroat. It's very, very, difficult. But I managed to really grow and thrive under their leadership. And within 2 years, I got 5 promotions. I had 6 people working under me. And all of a sudden, I was learning how to market. I was learning how to sell. I was learning how to negotiate. I was learning how to close deals. And I really got my feet under me in that job as somebody that could be entrepreneurial. And finally, when I was just really catching my stride, in 2010, my dad passed away. Unfortunately, I was on my way to visit my mom on Mother's Day. I'll never forget. I got the call, and he had passed away. I was still on the train, and that was that. And then all of a sudden, I had a choice to make because I realized that life was not guaranteed and life was not forever. And at that point in my life, I had just finally gotten my feet under me financially, but I wasn't really a fully complete and whole person. I still needed a lot of personal development work in the looking back in the rearview mirror. But I made a transformation at that point. After my dad died, this was me or in those real estate days. You can see I was a little overweight. I was still drinking at that time. I just celebrated 4 years sobriety this year out of, I think, 8 total where I was trying. And things just weren't looking great for the financially I was doing okay, but like my dress sense, like, it just was not who I am today. And I made a transformation around that time that tends to shock some people because I went from, the man I was to the man I am. And I shedded my old skin and I became somebody who could impact people and transform people. And ultimately everything in my life started to take an upswing as a result of that. So out of this painful experience of my dad passing away super young, I was 24, within 3 years, I completely turned my life around. And the entire reason for that was because I was joining mastermind groups where people were way more successful than I was. And that led me to meeting some of my heroes. I talked a little bit about working with Tony and Dean. That's them on the left there. But I got to meet Sir Richard Branson on the top here. I got to spend 10 days in Africa with Tim Ferriss. He's the one that actually turned me on to Neil Strauss's mastermind, which is the first mastermind I joined. So I have a lot of gratitude for Tim and all the work he's done. He's just an incredible person and mentor. And he's grown a lot over the years too. When I met him, he was like my age now. So it's kind of interesting to see how he's changed and grown over the last 10 years or so. We got to go to Machu Picchu and hike the Inca Trail. We got to go to Africa and, all these different places and spend time with these people that had been mentors to me through video. They had been mentors to me through books. And now I'm getting to spend time around them and really understand how it came to be that they were so successful. And the key component, again, 100%, like every single one of them was like, join a mastermind, get part of a support group, get coaching, get mentored. And they didn't always have all the answers, but they knew the process, right? They knew how to get there. So masterminds were 100% of my strategy for a long time, just joining better and better masterminds and being around these types of people who rubbed off on me in a variety of different ways. So I just wanted to kind of share a little bit about that and give you an overview of this challenge, because now I've gone from somebody who joined a lot of masterminds to somebody who started a dozen and helped hundreds of people start masterminds all over the world in every niche imaginable. And I'll share some of those examples throughout the challenge. Just so you can see, like, hey, it doesn't take any special knowledge. It doesn't take having to go to the right school. It doesn't take having to be an expert. It doesn't take having to be like the smartest person in the world. All you have to do is show up, be dedicated, do the work, listen to what I say, and you're going to get the results. It's really simple. I've already figured this out for you. Like, I'm just giving you the playbook. So definitely, understand this is all about you today. And we're going to get clear on why you're here. Why masterminds, we've already talked about, why they're so, important and successful. They've been around for over 100 years. Think and Grow Rich was the first time that they were really published and known about, but people have been doing it for a long time, like the Vagabond Mastermind, for example, with Ford and Edison and Westinghouse. And all these guys used to get together on a quarterly basis and share with each other and work on ideas. And they were just very small masterminds for very, elite people that ran big industries. So it's been around for a long time. This is not going away. This is a very human thing to do, and getting really good at it is going to help you level up in every area of your life. And we want really today, we just want to get clear on why you're here and what's the best mastermind format, pardon me, for you to add 6 figures to your income or more, right? And impact the people you want to impact and make the income you want to make and whatever your goals are. Like, I believe masterminds can help you get there. Day 2, we're going to talk about your mastermind niche. Day 3, we're going to get your irresistible offer in place. And again, I just want to be really clear. We're going to have an offer. We're going to make it. We're going to make it as irresistible as possible. But this is an ongoing thing because the market's always changing. The competition's always changing. It's getting more globalized. This is not, do it once and forget it. Your offer is something you're going to be working on, all the time as an entrepreneur. So just get clear on that now, that this is not a one and done. This is an ongoing thing. We're going to talk about generating leads and sales for your mastermind on day 4. And we're going to talk about how to run your mastermind on day 5. And then we might have some bonus stuff and stuff like that we'll announce. So just stay tuned for that. I'm just giving you a little bit of foreshadowing here. So I'm really excited to share all this with you and get this rolling. All right. So let's start with, I love this gift, by the way. I'm so happy with my team for grabbing this. I love Pulp Fiction. So let's start with you. Why are you here? And you can put this in the chat. You can grab your workbook and start filling out the exercise, but we're going to go through it together right now and get really clear. This is something I learned from one of my mentors, Dean Graziosi, and I've seen it in other places too, but he does it really well. And the exercise is going to be real time right now with me. And you can work on it afterwards as well if you're not quite done, but we want to get at least started right now going to the why and getting really clear. Because if we're clear on the why and it's articulated and it's clear and it really moves you emotionally, you're going to run through brick walls to get this done. So, I really just want to know the core driving force for you. Why is it, why is it so important you have a successful mastermind or being successful in general? Why is it important to you to blank? And why is that important to you? All right. So that we're just going to kind of go back and forth on these 2 questions until you get really clear on what it is. And you want to go up to 7 levels deep. Sometimes you go 9 levels deep. Sometimes you'll get it after 5, but you should feel a shift in your body when you get really far down to it. So I'll tell a story while you work on this about Dean, and the way he explained it was really great. So I'll just borrow it straight from him because, again, I don't need to be the expert I don't need to know everything if I know everybody, right? He would talk about how when he was a kid, he would get bounced around to different houses all the time. And he never felt like he could be stable or have any control over his life. Just as soon as he'd make friends or get really into school, he would have to move again. And it was just heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. He worked so hard, but he never really felt like he belonged anywhere. And I can really relate to this because I got bullied a lot. And I didn't bounce around as much when I was a kid, but, I definitely never felt like I fit in anywhere. So when he really got down and drilled down, like he wanted to make money, yeah, but why do you want to make money? Okay, well, he wanted to make money because he wanted to provide for his family and provide stability. Why did he want to do that? And when he really drilled down 4, 5, 6, 7 levels deep, he recognized that the thing that actually was driving him was the need for control. And we're not here to judge what drives you. We're not here to judge your values. We're not here to judge what you say. We just want you to go deep enough to get to the thing that actually drives you. So you have that emotional juice that's going to propel you to get through this. So I want to hear some of the things in the chat, and not like, airy fairy stuff, not like, the super polished, beautiful mission statement. I don't want any of that. I want to know what's the thing at the deepest level that drives you personally. And keep asking yourself this question. Why is it important to you to blank? Why is that important to you? And why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? Until you get to the one thing that drives you. For me, it's because I never belonged. That was the reason. I wanted to belong with everybody. That's why I became the mastermind guy. I was an 8-year-old kid who would go on the swings and wouldn't talk to the other kids and just wished one day that he would have friends all over the world. And it took me a few years, but I got there. I achieved that goal. And I was driven by that for a very long time. And then your why, as a result of you achieving the zenith of what that is, may no longer drive you as well. But for right now, and you might have to find it again, what your new why is. So for right now, what's that why that's gonna really get you there? Because you can tap into that. That's the most important thing in human peak performance training, is understanding what motivates you and not judging it, just understanding it. So we'll take a few minutes here. I'll pause, do this workbook exercise, and let's start to see some comments as well. I'd like to see when you're really clear on what it is, and go deep as you need to. There's an old saying that if your why doesn't make you cry, then it's not your why. And you're here anyway, so you might as well do it. Okay, so I'll just read a few. I'll leave the names off. Impact, freedom, financial upside. To help entrepreneurs get their story and state right so that they can be successful regardless of what strategy. So that's great. That's shiny. That's beautiful. I would just highly recommend going deep on what motivates you to do that. Like that's the difference between a mission statement and your why. Mission statement is what you project to the world. I want you to know what drives you. And you don't have to post it. I just want you to know for your own edification. What's going to get you up out of bed every single day and make you take action, run through those brick walls, run through any challenges where you're not going to give up, where you're going to get there. Make a bigger difference in the world so I may get a sense of fulfillment in my life. Okay, so fulfillment might be it, but what drives you? Right? Everybody wants fulfillment. Everybody wants success. What drives you at the deepest level? The workbook is at marbles.link/workbook. If you don't have it yet, highly recommend it. We were hoping you'd get it printed out beforehand, but if you haven't, it's better late than never. It's only a few pages. Just helps you do the exercises for each day. Create a tribe where people can develop and build their best vision. And why is that important to you? What does that give you personally? Again, we got to go deep. And if you know what it is and you're clear and you're not BSing yourself or giving yourself a surface level answer, that's fine. I'm not here to babysit you. I just want to make sure that you're going deep enough to get what you need to move through. Okay. So some of these are starting to come out now. Okay. I want to feel powerful. I want recognition. So this is the real stuff. This is totally fine. Like it's okay to admit to yourself why you do things. But I don't care if you lie to me, just don't lie to yourself. That's the most important thing. So losing, there's a long comment here. I won't say who it's from, but losing all the people around me. And instead, I really want to surround myself with people who lift me up. I have a very similar story actually in high school. I lost a lot of my high school friends in one fell swoop over a misunderstanding, and it happened again in college. And I've done my side of the fence. I've cleaned up all that, but that was really painful because ultimately what it came down to is we had different values, and I was growing, and they were growing in a different direction or not growing. And that was the most painful thing for me. And in order to shed your skin and grow into the person you need to be and transform into the person you need to be that can run this mastermind, that can be this leader, that can bring these people together, sometimes that's necessary. And that's a painful reason to drive. And understanding that's going to keep happening, right? That'll drive you. But until you have your real ride or die folks around you and your real community that's of choice and a family of choice, it's going to keep happening. It may continue to happen your entire life, right? Nothing lasts forever. It's either people are in your life for a reason, they're in your life for a season, or they're in life for your lifetime. So I'd hold on to those people in the lifetime category. Hopefully they keep growing in the same way you do and you have things in common that motivate you and drive you, inspire you. But yeah, just be real with yourself. I want to be recognized. That's a huge one. A lot of people want significance. A lot of people want to make an impact. A lot of people want to contribute. A lot of people want connection. They want love. A lot of people want to, if they feel like they're successful and fulfilled, they'll be more lovable. Whatever your reason is, they want certainty. They want variety. Whatever it is, whatever your need is that you're driving at, totally fine. As long as you know what it is, as long as it moves you emotionally, I have zero judgments. Cool. I love it. Okay. So if you haven't finished this and you need to take a little more time at the end, more than welcome. I do this on a regular basis. So this is not something, again, that you're going to do one time and forget it. This will change in 3 months. It'll change in a year. It'll change in 3 years, but it will change as you grow and evolve and meet these goals and meet these needs that you have. But it's really important to understand why you're doing what you're doing, because otherwise you won't get where you're going, because the first thing that shows up will knock you off your path and it won't be that critical to you to keep going. Or you'll procrastinate, or any number of things will take priority over this. So I want you to attach your why to the reason that you're building this mastermind. This is the vehicle that's going to help you get there. Okay. So that being said, what's the best mastermind for you? There's a lot of different types of masterminds you can build. We're going to give you 3 main options here. And the goal today is to select one of these 3 main options so that you're ready to go and build it. And that's just what I said. Thank you. Thank you, slides. 3 main options. Option number 1. So here is a photo of one of my local masterminds. That's Jasmine, my girlfriend, Kevin, some local folks, JC, Daniel, David. Some of my clients are there. Some of my best friends are there. This is just a local mastermind that I built from scratch, right? These are people that come to my home and mastermind, and we have a really good time doing it. The Cardiff Community Mastermind is what we call it. And before COVID, we were meeting every single week, and we grew from 0 to 500 members inside of 2 years, all local San Diego based entrepreneurs and people who wanted to be. It was really, really fun. And it just gave them a little taste of masterminds. And I've got recordings of that. I've got, a lot of really beautiful stories from that. And I won't share 100 of them today, but I just want you to understand you can build something from scratch. It might take a little while, but it's a perfectly valid way to do it. Another example of a paid mastermind is our messaging and marketing mastermind that we ran 2 years ago. And this started out as a $10,000 a month mastermind, and it would go to $100,000 a year. Sorry, that is a typo. I apologize. This was $997 a month for $10K for the year, and then we brought it up to $100,000 a year. So I won't change that right now, but just if you're hearing the audio, you know that that's wrong. So yeah, started out $997 a month, or they could pay $10K in full for the year, and it went to $25K a month over time. And then we helped entrepreneurs increase their impact, influence, income, investments, and infrastructure. So really build a business and a lifestyle that allowed money to not be a problem. That was the whole goal of that mastermind. We had some people that made 200 grand in their first 3 months. It was a really cool experience. So whatever your mastermind niche is, whatever you help people with, we're going to get clear on all that in days 2 and 3 and get your offer together for the right person that's going to be irresistible for them. But understanding that wherever you're starting now is perfect, and wherever you want to go is achievable. So here's an example of somebody who started from scratch. This is Chris. He's one of my favorite clients. He's also one of my really good friends. Chris joined us 2 years ago. And in his first mastermind, he started a mastermind for cops. He found me. He's like, "Hey, Brad, I want to start a mastermind for cops to help them get into the police force." And he made it $1,000. His company is called Knocking Demon Fitness. He's out of New Zealand, but he's American. And he did just that. He got, 10 people, I think, to start. And within a year, he had 100 different police officers helping them get into the force and then stay mentally, emotionally, and physically prepared for the rigors of the job. And his whole story was, I was in the force for 7 years. I washed out due to PTSD. I don't want that to happen to other cops. So let me make a program that allows them to thrive in there. Yep, that's it. And then, clients, sometimes, like I said, they become friends. We actually took a huge motorcycle trip all around New Zealand. We did the North and South Island together on our motorcycles, about 2,500 miles in 10 days. We camped outside, and it was a freaking blast. If you've never been to New Zealand, when it opens up again, I highly recommend it. It's the most beautiful place I've ever been to. I've been to like 25 countries now, 43 states around the world. I would highly, highly recommend checking it out. And hopefully I get to go back again soon. So one of the coolest things about being a mastermind leader is just the amazing people you get to help, and also you get to be friends with as well, because you're basically judging, or not judging, but selecting based on values, right? It's not about judging values, it's about selecting based on values, so that the people in the room are the ones that you want to have in the room, and you develop relationships with them because you have things in common. You care about the same thing. That's why it's so important to understand your values and your why. And there's entire seminars on this, but just understanding that one piece will give you so much leverage. Okay, moving forward. This is the Abundant Purpose Mastermind. I started this with a Tony Robbins coach named Delina Fajardo, and she and I ran this. It was a $50 a month mastermind when we started out, so very cheap. We eventually moved that up to 10x that price to $500 a month over time. And it was to help entrepreneurs discover their niche and start their business so they can live a life of abundance and purpose. So the Abundant Purpose Mastermind is a marriage of our two brands. So, the Abundance Guy, Make More Marbles, and Purpose Now, which is her brand. And I just want to make one comment is I don't recommend starting this cheap. I would say $500 to $1,000 minimum or per month to start for a one-off mastermind. then more as you add more value to it and master it. Like if you're going to run a mastermind, I would do it with a smaller group of people and charge more so that they get more value and that you can add more to the pie, bring in the right experts, do what you got to do, and just make sure that they get over delivered on for than trying to make it, thousands of people that pay very little and get very little out of it. Because people pay attention to what they pay for and what pays them. And it's a scaling thing. Like the more you spend, typically the more you pay attention. And you're going to take things more seriously if they represent a larger portion of your income than if you don't. That's just human nature. I can't change it. So I wouldn't start this cheap, but I wanted to give you an example as well, starting from scratch. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm using your existing network. So this is number 2. So we did starting from scratch, and we gave an example of that and how you can do that. And then we gave an example of using your existing network. I'm not great with slides all the time, guys, so I apologize if I'm not perfectly on point. My team actually built these for me, and I've reviewed them, but I'm not memorized on them. So if I jump around and skip a little bit, I'll make sure I cover everything, but just forgive me if I get out of order slightly. All right. So let's give an example of somebody who used their current network to join a mastermind, to build a mastermind. So this is Vamsi. Vamsi was in the corporate world. He helps corporate leaders become coaches and escape the rat race. So a very specific niche. It's people that are already like VIP level in their company. They're kind of looking to grow, but they're not sure they want to keep playing the corporate game. And they really just want to get out of that and build their own business, their own coaching practice, their own consultancy, whatever they're going to build. And he had huge demand for this niche. It was actually really cool. And by the way, if you see a niche that you're like, hey, I want to do this too, 100%, nobody's got ownership of the whole market. So please, join a mastermind, start a mastermind, build a mastermind that serves these people too. Because why start from scratch and build something that hasn't been tested or hasn't been validated? It's so much easier to just start mastermind in a niche that you already know works and bring the experts in to make that happen, especially if it's something you're interested in and value and want to learn yourself. So he filled 3 masterminds with just referrals from the very first mastermind and left his corporate job, replaced his $250,000 a year income, and now he's crushing it and building huge masterminds network, essentially, of different masterminds that he started. So it's a really beautiful thing, and it's given him the freedom to spend more time with his family and his kids. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Vamsi. He's a client, and he's a great guy. Here's Justin Hawley. Justin was a Olympic level trainer. So he works with Olympic weightlifting athletes. So these are guys that lift, thousands of pounds, and they come in and they want Justin to help them to get to that next level. And he built his first mastermind, sold it out really like right away. His first 6 sales calls were all a yes. And he was, recognizing he was too cheap and then had to raise his prices. And it just came down to confidence, right? He knew his stuff and he'd been doing it for a decade more, but he didn't realize like people were wanting to pay more. They were happy to pay more because they recognized that they couldn't all afford to work with him one-on-one or make that happen. But with the mastermind portion, it allowed him to work with the coaches that would then go out and use his methodology to train these athletes as well. So that was a really cool thing. So basically teaching people what he had done successfully for many years through a mastermind was a huge win for him and for everybody else. We talked about Vamsi and his niche there. Finally, the last way to start a mastermind is to partner with an expert. So I'll give 2 examples of this, one in my life and one in one of my clients' life. So when I met Michael Quinn, I was at an event. I was at the VIP luncheon or dinner, whatever it was. And we meet at the line, and he was really just an interesting guy. We start chatting, and he asked inevitably, "What do I do?" And I asked him what he did. He said, "Oh, I went to Bali with my family for 6 months and started this Amazon business. All of us, like 5 of my family members." And I asked him about it. He's like, "Yeah, we sell cat tunnels." I'm like, "What's a cat tunnel?" He's like, "It's a little neoprene tunnel where you run to the end of the." I'm not a cat person. I'm a dog person, but you run to the cat runs to the end of the thing, rings the bell. I'm like, "Cool. That sounds cool. Like that's a really interesting niche. How much like revenue? Like, is that a big seller?" He's like, "Yeah, we do about $100,000 a month in cat tunnels." Like, wait a second, you make $1 million a year selling cat tunnels on Amazon? He's like, "Yep, yeah, we sell salt and pepper shakers and a couple other things too." I'm like, "Dude, teach me your ways. This is awesome." I'm like, "How much you work?" He's like, 5 hours a week." Like, this is incredible. So I asked him, "Hey, will you coach me?" He's like, "Yeah, it's $30,000 to coach with me. I don't do a lot of it." I'm like, "Okay, I could pay that kind of money, but it's a lot." And I just thought for a second. I'm like, "Well, I'm an expert in building masterminds. You ever thought about building a mastermind?" He's like, "No, I never really considered it." I'm like, "Do you have a lot of people that want to learn how to build an Amazon business from you?" It's like, "Yeah, hundreds." I'm like, "They all have 30 grand to drop on coaching?" He's like, "Nope." I'm like, great. Well, I'll start the mastermind. I'll get the people enrolled and we'll all go to China and Hong Kong. He goes every year to go, visit the fairs and to look for new products and build supplier relationships and teach, we'll teach him how to do that. We'll teach him how to go to China and Hong Kong and find the suppliers and work out the business, pieces and get all this marketing together. So we did. We offered it for $1,000 for the beta launch. They had to pay their own travel in their own way, but we, took $1,000 payment for the service of the mastermind. And we ended up doing 35 members in 2 weeks, 35,000 raised. And within, I think, 2 months or whatever, how long we were promoting, I think it was really short timeline, maybe 6 weeks. We had over 52 people coming with us to China and Hong Kong. We had a blast on that trip. So that's an example of partnering with an expert to get a mastermind off the ground. Or you can do multiple experts as well. Like Jason here. Jason is one of my clients from South Africa who started off his mastermind with a single expert and grew it from there. Because as soon as he had that single expert in the room, it was really easy to get clients and members. So as soon as Craig Ballantyne said yes, and Craig Ballantyne's been in this industry for a dozen years or more, it was really easy for him to be like, hey, who else would want to join and get those people? He ended up getting like Phil M. Jones and a bunch of other really cool people to come and present as mastermind. And then getting clients was that much more easy too. So it started out as, a very beta general kind of mastermind, and it kind of niche down until it was like a more LinkedIn mastermind, specifically focused on LinkedIn generation strategies. And you had 3 to 5 of his top experts on that. And that really did well. So whatever you're at, wherever you're looking to go, there's 3 different ways you can do it. Again, you're going to start with, starting from scratch, or use your existing network, or partner up with an expert to tap into their network. And here are some questions that'll help you gain clarity faster. So when you're deciding which one you're going to go with at first, again, you can do multiple of these, you can do all these eventually, but we got to start somewhere. So let's pick one. Which one of these 3 you're going to pick? And if you're not sure, what does your gut say? What is the most expedient to your goals and will get you there the fastest? Are you an expert right now or a non-expert? Because that'll knock one of those out of, or maybe 2 out of those out of contention. And if you're between 2, what seems easiest to start with given your current situation? Or what's the easiest? Let's make this fun, easy, and lucrative. Joe Polish always talks about ELF businesses: easy, fun, and lucrative, or easy, lucrative, and fun. So let's make this easy, lucrative, and fun. Make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, and everything else we can sort out. And then when in doubt, just pick one. Right? You can always change your mind later. It's not going to end the world if you don't do it. So let's see in the comment, what are people looking to do here? What's going to be, just give me a number 1, number 2, number 3. Number 1 again is you're going to start from scratch. Number 2 is you're going to use your existing network. Or number 3, you're going to partner with an expert or multiple experts. So just give me a quick 1, 2, or 3 while I take some water, and we will keep moving forward here. And we're right on time with the content. We're almost done with day 1. It's about 12 minutes left in the hour. And then we'll jump to the Q&A. Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of 1s, a lot of 2s, a lot of 3s. And again, if you're clear on your why and you're clear on the what, the rest of this is going to be a lot easier. If not, take a few extra moments here just to consider, hey, which is this right for me for right now? And you don't have to, you can always change your mind later, but just get clear for now. What's driving you? Why is that important to you? And what of those 3 masterminds, start from scratch, use your network, or partner with an expert, are you going to do first? Okay, so here's the action steps. I'd like you to respond to these 2 questions in a Facebook group, in the Facebook post, in the Facebook group. So why do you want to start a mastermind? What's your why driving you at the deepest level? And not, it doesn't have to be polished or fancy. It has to be the real reason that actually drives you. It's okay to omit that if you feel like it's too personal or you'd be embarrassed. But, part of being a mastermind leader is authenticity and vulnerability and leadership. So don't be afraid. Nobody's here to judge you, least of all me. So I'd love to hear what's really going on for you, and welcome that and accept that with love. And then finally, which kind of mastermind do you want to build? And if you want to add any details about you and where you're from, that would be great too, just so I have a little bit of, I can't meet everybody in person. There's 1,500 people signed up for this thing, but I'd really love to get to know where you're at, what brought you here, and stuff like that as well, just so I make sure I can serve you at the best level. And I'll look through all these today, and I'll get even clearer on where we're at, what we're looking to do, and we can tailor the content to help you guys. Okay, and that's it for day 1. Thank you so much. If you are on VIP, I'll be getting the Q&A underway here in a few minutes. If you're not a VIP and you still want to upgrade, you can go to marbles.link/VIP. That's marbles.link, marbles.link/VIP to upgrade if you like. And we'll have you on the very next live upgrade. These recordings, you'll get those. They'll be in the group until the end. Then we'll take them all down and close the group. But we'd love to have you here on the Q&A as well. And there's still room. We still got a few spots left. So I'm happy to have you here. All right. So, yeah, join the group. Get in the group. Pop in your post here. Let us know what's up. Why do you want to start your mastermind? What's your real true why? And which of the following are you going to use? 1, 2, or 3. Use your existing network, build it from scratch, or do a joint venture. I think they're out of order here on the slide. Apologies for that. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed day 1. We kept it easy and simple. I'm really excited for the content in day 2, and I will see you live here again at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Stay blessed. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.